taxation on lead, glass, paper, paint, and, notably, tea. The second created a new customs board for the North American colonies in Boston and allowed customs officials unprecedented control over vessels coming in and out of colonial ports. The third suspended the New York Assembly from conducting business until it had complied with the requirements of the Quartering Act, passed in 1765 alongside the Stamp Act. The fourth act, known as the Indemnity Act, colloquially known as the Tea Act, lowered the commercial duties on tea imported by the East India Company, hoping to combat the smuggling of Dutch East India tea into English ports. The final act, known as the Colonial Trade Act, passed after Townsend's death in 1767, also aimed to target smuggling and granted admiralty courts jurisdiction over all matters concerning customs violations, taking away the authority of local colonial courts. Before his death, Townsend feared that it would provoke a rebellious response from the American colonists. Townsend could not have been more correct. A flurry of activity gripped the American colonies. Pamphlets and letters flew from the pens of lawyers and farmers alike as they published their grievances in papers and broadsides across the colonies. Committees of correspondence were formed and shared ideas and debated the political and economic situation in the colonies. Once again, the Sons of Liberty were active, implementing the boycott of British goods and inciting riots where the opportunity was ripe. Particularly in Boston, unrest began to foment in such a way that the customs officials were obliged to leave town. This prompted British authorities to send for British troops to occupy Boston to quell the mob. On March 5, 1770, the consequences became quite clear